Monday is here with us again, and we bring you another exclusive edition of Sports Today live here on Joy Sports and Multi TV. My name is Kwame Jumo Ajiman. On the show this morning, we're going to be recapping all the major sports stories that transpired over the weekend. The biggest one, of course, the bout between Nathaniel Attoh and Ronald Pontius from Philippines. That particular bout going the distance. Attoh just about making this fight. Would also be bringing you highlights of the other bouts on the night. George Ashi and Michael Odiambo also fighting, and they will be taking a look at what transpired in the MTN FA Cup. We'll be bringing you the results of all the matches that were played, as well as keeping tabs on the performances of Ghanaian players in Europe. That big game is coming up in June. We're just there. Those are two crucial World Cup qualifiers against Sudan and against Lesotho. We'll be keeping up with the Black Stars players and their performances in Europe. Now, the senior national team coach, Kwesi Appiah, has also been in London for some time. We'll be bringing you an exclusive interview he granted to the BBC concerning the Black Stars and, of course, players that he would love to see playing in the national team. As usual, we start with the sporting tabloids. I have quite a number of them with me here today. The Graphic Sports, the 90 minutes of captivating Ghana sports and exciting sports filler. We start with the Graphic Sports, and on the front page of the paper, Ronaldo leads Real for revenge. Well, for those of you who saw that first leg game between Borussia Dortmund and Real Madrid at the Signal Iduna Park, Real Madrid have a chance to overturn a 4-1 deficit when they take on the German side in the second leg of the UEFA Champions League semi-final. And it's that man, Robert Lewandowski, who scored 4 goals on the night against Cristiano Ronaldo, who scored Real's only goal. He was missing in action in the Madrid derby. Hopefully he's going to be fresh for that game. Still on the front page of the Graphic Sports newspaper, and it's that man, Nathaniel Attoh. Well, he got a decision over Ronald Pontius of Philippines, and you have a hard win for Game Boy. That story is on page 10. We're going to be bringing you highlights of this bout on the show. Suarez leads Liverpool on the rampage as they hit Newcastle for 6. Story on page 16, and we'll be bringing you highlights of the English Premier League later on the show. Okay, so that's it for the front page of the Graphic Sports. To page 3 of the paper, and you have scenes from Road to Legendary bout. Well, the dignitaries were there and their numbers. Ex-Ghanaian football stars Sami Osei, Kufuor, Batman, Samini, Tony Baffo was there. The professor himself, Azuma Nelson, was also in the mix. You get to see the lads who once made a name for Ghana on the field of play, and the triumphant entry of Attoh on the saddle of the horse as he made his way into the ring. And now you have other scenes from the fight venue. GBA President Lawyer Peter Zwenes decorating the winner after the bout. And we also have George Ashi versus Michael Odiambo. Ashi in fantastic form as he stopped his opponent in the course of the bout. Okay, so we move on to page 5, and it's understandable that this man is the man on our lifestyle page for today. The 24-year-old Borussia Dortmund striker Robert Lewandowski, and you have Robert the lethal weapon. Well, seen here celebrating Dortmund's 2 German Bundesliga titles back-to-back. They did before losing out to Bayern Munich this year. Seen here with his girlfriend, I believe, and some pictures from holiday bays in Hawaii. The center spread of the Graphic Sports has pictures from matches played in the major European leagues, and we have those pictures in here for you. Ghanaian interest in the mix. Emmanuel Ajumanbedu featuring for Udinese. And of course, those big games in England and Spain and in Italy. In Spain, it was the Madrid derby between Real Madrid and Atletico Madrid. Okay, so that's it for the center spread of the graphic sports. The back page of the paper has stories concerning the MTN FA Cup quarter-final games, and some clubs making it to the next stage of the competition at the expense of other clubs. Helegbe puts Kotoko into the semis. He got all 2 goals on the day as Kotoko got a result against Second D 11 Wise. And also on the back page of the graphic sports, you have Mediama keeping double hopes alive. Well, they also got a result. They're currently on top of the Global Premier League. Are they going in for a double? All these stories and more on the back page of the graphic sports. Okay, so that's it for the graphic sports. Make your way to the newsstand and get to see a lot more of these stories. Let's move on to the 90 minutes now. And on the front page, you can bet the 90 minutes would always adorn its front page with pictures of African and Ghanaian players. That's where their interest lies. I guess on the front page of the 90 minutes, you have Emmanuel Frimpong, who we understand is frustrated at Fulham. There have been reports linking him to Real Betis and Spain. Is that going to come to pass? We'll wait and see what happens in the summer transfer window. Sule Muntari is also in the mix together with Andre Dede Ayew, who almost always seems to be on the front page of the 90 minutes. He was sent off in Marseille's game over the weekend. Jordan Ayew also booked in that particular encounter. You have Game of Hope. ACN promises fireworks, also on the front page of the paper. And of course, the build-up to the UEFA Champions League coming up to tomorrow. The first semi-final encounter, the second leg, of course, between Real Madrid and Dortmund. And then on Wednesday, it's going to be Football Club Barcelona taking on Bayern Munich. Milan fans abuse Sule Muntari. Well, Kevin Prince Boateng was at the receiving end of the Juventus fans and that game against the Bianconeri last week. Muntari abused over the weekend in Milan's game against Catania. Well, let's move on to the back page of the 90 minutes now, and we have pictures of matches played in the English Premier League over the weekend. Man City getting a result against West Ham, 2-1. That game ended, and Liverpool, they were on fire. They crushed their opponents, Newcastle United, by 6-0. Southampton also losing by 0-3, and the man Romelu Lukaku on target for the team who plays at the Hawthorns. Make your way to the newsstands and get to read a lot more on these stories in the 90 minutes. We move on to the captivating Ghana sports. And on the front page of the paper, there are stories concerning Ghanaian players, quite a number of them in action over the weekend. KP speaks. Apia calls for return of KP Boateng and Michael Essien. We're going to be playing that soundbite for you in the interview. Coach Kwesi Apia granted the BBC. Tego gets a majority win over Pontiers. We'll be bringing you highlights of the bout. Chelsea TV confirms Chelsea sack Lampard. Well, he's not been sacked. And what I do know is that his contract is not going to be renewed at the end of the season. And the big men, the big stars, as far as the UEFA Champions League is concerned, prepared to do battle on Tuesday and Wednesday. Jerome Boateng, the defender for Bayern Munich, is there. Lionel Messi, he was on target for Football Club Barcelona over the weekend, and their game against Atletico Bilbao is also there, together with Cristiano Ronaldo. He was missing in action in a Madrid derby, but surely going to make a return in that game against Dortmund later this week. Rooney, he gets to win another English Premier League for Manchester United. Okay, so grab a copy of Captivating Ghana Sports and get to read a lot more of these stories. And finally, to the exciting sports filler. And on the front page of the paper, well, the creme de la creme of Ghanaian football stars, if you ask me. Incidentally, quite a number of them playing in Italy. Michael Essien is there. He was in action for the Madridistas in their game against Atletico Madrid over the weekend. Andre Ayew is also there in the mix. He was sent off in Marseille's game over the weekend. And Kojo Asamoah gets to win a Scudetto for the Bianconeri. Kevin Prince Boateng, AC Milan, currently in third place in the Italian Serie A. Other local stories on the front page of a very exciting sports filler. Kofi Abanga is in the mix. He accuses our coach Charles Kwabena Akono of nearly ending his football career. And coach Didi Dramani says he is not afraid to be sacked by Kotoko. And it's all about the build-up to those two UEFA Champions League semi-final games coming over this weekend. Football Club Barcelona must overturn a 4-0 deficit against Bayern Munich. Real Madrid must also get 3 clear goals in their game against Bayern Munich. Against Borussia Dortmund if they want to make it to the semi-final of the UEFA Champions League. Okay, the back page of this story has Sami Ade courting a move to Kumasi Asante Kotoko next season. Well, he says that coach David Duncan has barely spoken to him, and even when he performs a training, he barely gets a looking into the Accra Hearts of Oak starting 11. I'm not too sure whether Kumasi Asante Kotoko would want to say anything at this point, as he's a registered player of Accra Hearts of Oak. Abdullah Solama and Isaac Amwako in there for the Reds. And Ade cautions Duncan to respect senior players. Well, I think it's all about proving yourself at training, and then you get a looking when it comes to games. Teta Lugard in fantastic form for Accra Hearts of Oak as we speak, and it's more like first choice these days. Okay, so that's it for the sporting tabloids. Make your way to the newsstands and get to read a lot more of these stories, the graphic sports, the 90 minutes, the exciting sports filler, and of course, the captivating Ghana sport. A lot of stories in here on football issues, and those two big games coming up on Tuesday and Wednesday. Of course, it's going to be Football Club Barcelona taking on Bayern Munich at the Stadio Camp Nou, and then that crucial game also concerning the other Spanish and German team, Borussia Dortmund and Real Madrid. That game is coming up tomorrow at their Stadio Santiago Bernabeu. Promises to be a thriller if Real Madrid or Football Club Barcelona can overturn those heavy defeats they conceded in the first legs of the UEFA Champions League. Like I promised you, we're going to be bringing you highlights of major sporting events that transpired over the weekend. The biggest ones, obviously, to do with boxing, and that man, Emmanuel Tego, getting a win against the Filipino Ronald Pontius. We're going to be bringing you highlights of that game. There were undercards on the night as well. We'll be bringing you the bout between George Ashi and Michael Odiambo. Prince Johnny also took on Albert Komi. We'll be bringing you highlights of that bout as well. Osmanu Akaba also in action against Moses Doji. And as well as that soundbite of Coach Kwesi Appiah in the interview he granted to the BBC. He says he wants certain players back into the senior national team, but are those players going to heed his call, especially Michael Essien and Kevin Prince Boateng? Would also be following the exploits of Ghanaian players in Europe with those crucial World Cup qualifiers coming up in June against between Ghana and Lesotho, and of course Ghana and Sudan. 2 away games before we take on the Chipolopolo of Zambia here in Ghana to determine whether Ghana makes it to a third successive World Cup. Well, we'll begin the show with coach Isaac Opele Boateng, well, he was with the Starlets team in Morocco, where we failed to progress beyond the group stages of the African Under-17 champions. Cote d'Ivoire defeating Nigeria to win this particular tournament. He's been talking about codes football and the need to develop these players so that they could be some kind of line for players who would want to play for the national Under-17 team.
So we selected boys from codes and the other divisions, let's say Division 3, 2, 1, and they were with the team until the MRI came up and they gave a certain grade that made most of the boys go home. About 99% of the boys go home. So then we have to rely on the academies and the coach sites. Interestingly, Nat, you go in for an under-17 player at the coach level and he will fail the MRI. You see? So some of these boys were, let's say, 22, 23, and they were still playing in the coach system. You go for his card, you know this boy is playing for under 17.
So obviously at the coach level too, there are problems which have to be dealt with.
Yes.
Where there's a lot of dishonesty with
where
age.
players are 22 years, 23, and are playing for the coach teams. And you go for his card, you know this is an under 17 player. You go and you fail the MRI. So then you have to go deep to the 14 level or rely on the academies. They have the real ages because they usually make sure they take the boys when they are let's say they are in school around let's say GSS 1 or class 6. That's where you get their right ages. That's what the academies usually do. So we have to rely on the academies to give us these boys. And like I said, an academy player competing mentally sometimes is usually different from the coach player competing. Because the coach player competing is a hustler. He has seen it all, played this mood changing, being echoed here and there. And the academic guy too also comes with a different mentality. So it's two different mentalities altogether. So it wasn't easy getting the kind of players we wanted. I think we about over 300 players went for the MRI, and it has cost the FA a lot of money. A lot of money, yes. And
MRI is expensive.
Yes, it's very, very expensive, and that's the sad case that I have for the FA, especially when we went out, because the FA president Yantichi did really well by not being like coming out to say, oh, it's too expensive and we are spending a lot on the boys, but the FA still sacrificed for us to get the boys. It was very, very, very difficult, Nat. Very, very, very difficult. To get a player to pass at the MRI is not easy. The player might be even 17 and still fail the MRI because of his bone formation. Maybe when he was young, he was weeding and doing all kind of physical activities, so his bones have overgrown.
I see.
Yes, he can be 15 but still fail the MRI. The A had Botswana, Gabon, Morocco, Tunisia. They all passed their MRI test. And B had Ghana, Congo, Cote d'Ivoire, and Nigeria. Only Ghana passed the test. So only 5 teams, the 4 other teams in A, including Ghana, passed the MRI. Nigeria, Congo, and Cote d'Ivoire failed woefully, but they said, oh, let's just take 3 out of them to let them have the team, still the squad, like 18 players for the tournament. You know, before it was 18, before it became 21. So having that, you know, this word they usually say, separating the boys from the men. And having Cote d'Ivoire and Nigeria and Congo being the men, all the other guys were separated. That's why today both teams are playing the final. We couldn't compete. They were so huge, and they were bigger than us. And we asked the Nigerians, they said they spoke in pidgin. Now it be machine way born picking. They are asking whether it's the MRI, which gave birth to human beings for the MRI to determine that they are old or not. And like the Congolese too, were in the same hotel with them, they were calling our boys petit garçons, that they are small boys. So the Congolese even thought they were going to beat us because they saw Nigeria beat us 6-1. So they were also going to rip us. And the Ivorians too thought, oh, we were also going to lose. But we were able to motivate the boys to try to play above themselves. But naivety, and they were young, and it wasn't easy. You know, you can have the talent, but power and strength will surely overcome you. So these were some of the factors that really went against us. It's not an excuse that I'm trying to make, but we know we presented the right ages But CAF had to decide that, let's just take 3-3 out of the other 3 teams which were in our group. And the boys have been separated from the men. We came home, Cote d'Ivoire, Nigeria, the men, they went to the semis and beat the boys again. And both are in the finals today. As we were in Group A, we could have also have easier playing against our age group. Gabon, Botswana, and this team, we gathered them last August. So the Starlets started from last August. That's the New Testament of the Starlets. Started last August. The first testament was the old one, was the one that started in 2012 January. In August, disbanded, and we started afresh with academy boys and these young boys played our qualifier against because of the MRI. They had to go home, yes. And then we played South Africa. We were luckier because the South Africans also came with young boys. They also use the right ages. So we were luckier to have played them and we beat them. We went to the tournament. Like you said, we went to Italy, played a lot of things. But lie is here. Playing white opposition is different from playing an African.
Oh, yeah, it's two different things,
yeah.
Coach Isaac Opele-Boateng giving reasons as to why our Starlets failed to progress beyond the group stages of the African Under-17 Championship in Morocco. For him, it was unfortunate concerning the time that the technical team had in raising another team after the first team was supposedly disbanded because quite a number of them failed the MRI test. My colleague Redouane Ibrahim Asante joins me in the studio as we do a postmortem of the Starlets' performance in Morocco. Redouane, the team is back in Ghana. Is he given excuses?
Not excuses, but we asked why the team could not advance. And so there had to be explanation as to, some of the things that barred us from making it to the group stage. Legitimate, calls. For me, in the game against Nigeria where there are a little bit of flaws, but
6-1.
6-1. It happens, yes, because if Barcelona is losing 4-0 to Bayern Munich, it happens. Manchester City, thumped Man United 6-1. It didn't change anything. They met the last time, and it was 2-1. It was 1-0. You understand? So when you have such a mammoth scoreline, it happens in derbies of such magnitude. So Nigeria beating us 6-1, yes, you can lose your first game and then bounce back in subsequent matches and qualify. Just that we just couldn't stand it. If what Opele said is anything to go by, then I think they have an excuse, because if you have most of the boys, and I heard that most of the boys did not just have that mental toughness. They kept on complaining. They were being hacked by the opposition. And some of them even said they couldn't continue with play, and so it had to take the mentality of the ingenuity of the coaches to psych the boys up, and then get them back to their optimum best to play in the other matches. Ivory Coast went to the finals, and you could see clearly that if we had played in Group A, the story would have been a different one. It wasn't a balanced group. Why am I saying that? And I think, naturally you have your right to draw conclusions. If in Group A, all the teams there pass the MIR, you're talking about Botswana, you're talking about Gabon, yes,
Morocco there as well.
And then Tunisia, everybody in that group passed the MIR. And then only in Group B,
almost everybody failed.
Everybody failed, with the exception of Ghana. Then, a lot of question marks will have to be raised. And that's what, it happened to the Ghana team. So there was an explanation, or there is an explanation, why we couldn't qualify if you play against older men. And it's obvious. Yes, that we've not checked the ages, or we didn't check ages of our under-17 players. We had gone on, beat everybody. I quite remember the 1995 team went for a training tour in England. They beat the under-20 team, Blackburn Rovers 4-0. They were just scoring everybody.
And of course, we all know the reasons why.
Yes, we all know the reasons why. So I think it's obvious. We shouldn't cry. I'm only sad as how this whole thing has been blown out, and the questions that people have asked, and the sort of criticisms that have been splashed on the team and the coaches involved. For me, it's just sickening. What would have been the reaction if the FA had sent in boys, overage players, and then we were caught by the MIR, what would have been the reaction?
Would have been embarrassing.
The media. But nobody is giving the FA the credit for doing the right thing. We are only leveling or criticizing the coaches because they did the right thing, and we paid for doing right. So next time, what are we supposed to do as a nation? What are you supposed to do?
Well, I guess like most of the technical bosses have been saying since the team arrived in Ghana, the focus this time is on developing these players, and hopefully these players will become better players at the under 20 and the 23 level. And of course, I would want to see these players play for the senior national team, the Black Stars, at some point. Let's move on and do some bits of boxing now. And over the weekend, it was that man, Nathaniel Attoh, in action against the Filipino Ronald Pontius, together with other supporting bouts on the night. Attoh promising to get a knockout at some point in a bout, but he'll be the first to admit that it was not an easy bout. Let's catch up the highlights of that bout.
Lupa ng araw ng huwal, hatid pagsinta, buhay ay langit sa piling mo. Aming ligaya na pag may mag-aapi, ang mamatay ng dahil sa'yo.
Help us to resist oppressive with all our will and might forevermore. And help us to resist oppressive with all our will and might forevermore.
Emmanuel, the Game Boy Togo, and Ronaldo. The bout gets underway. Who throws the first punch here in tonight's main bout? And it's Ronald Pontilas. But that is a non-scoring point. Pontilas looks very aggressive with some heavy punches. Ronald Pontilas showing some aggression in the early seconds of this bout, but Nathaniel Attoh very tactical. It looks like Pontilas has got the punches, but Attoh has the skill.
Continuing to be very aggressive in this bout.
But it looks like Nathaniel Attoh just on the way, and we're just about 13 seconds into the fifth, and that's a good punch from Nathaniel Attoh, and he is making sure that the fans are thrilled, the fans are enjoying the fight, the bout here at the Accra Sports Stadium. Ronald Pontilas will attack here, but
Attoh, which was right direct, one that the boxers, all the referees and the judges will be looking out for. But then Attoh.
Ronald Pontilas will try and uppercut, but that will not land again. The clinching is there, but the boxers will still fly the punches. But the pale goal. Ronald Pontilas very calm in this particular round. Nathaniel Attoh will still continue with his antics, and this time he will visit the canvas. Nathaniel Attoh will visit the canvas, and you ought to see the response.
Because when you open up your body, you allow the boxer to give you the punches that you need. The kind of punches he's throwing at this time, trust me, I'm sure he can come back. But then trust me, Pontilas is making headway in this bout. And
championship bout between him. It's typical of a southpaw boxer.
Has come back strongly, but Pontilas is responding. But then it looks like they slipped and got to go.
Stop! 1, 2, 3, 4.
So referee Roger Bamo will judge that.
Stop it! Come on.
Referees at this stage with both boxers fighting And Ronald Pontilas will visit the canvas again, but has stolen the show in this particular round.
At the Accra Sports Stadium.
And so the bell goes to signal the end of this.
Judge number 1, Fred Garte, scored the bout 115-115. Judge number 2, Shadrach Akwe, scored the bout 116-112. Judge number 3, Adon Burton, scored the bout 118-111. For a majority decision to the man who is still the WBO Africa and the WBA International Super Featherweight Champion, Emmanuel the Game Boy Tego.
Well, Emmanuel Attoh getting a win on in the early hours of Saturday morning, but for a lot of people at ringside, well, the results were clearly different for them. A lot of the fans expressing their disappointment of the performance of Emmanuel Attoh, and Evan West was the judging by the 3 judges on the night. Incidentally, 2 out of the 3 judges were Ghanaians. And the first question I was asking myself is that for an international bout of this magnitude, how on earth do you have 2 of the 3 judges being Ghanaians, and you have the center ref also being a Ghanaian, with the 3rd judge coming in from Benin? Well, one of the Ghanaians scored about fair for me, 115-115, making it a draw. But the judge who scored about 118-112, simply meaning that our man Emmanuel Attoh won 10 out of the 12 rounds. For me, was just embarrassing. Kojo, I'm sure you would have seen the highlights of this bout by now, and for Emmanuel Attoh, if he really wants to make it out there with the promoters he has backing him, he's got to do a lot better than he's done in his last 2 fights.
Yeah, boxing is fraught with some of these controversial decisions, and Attoh happens to be on the winning side. We hope when it goes against him, we will not read a lot of racist remarks into it. We've seen Ghanaian boxers lose, and some of them, have harsh words for the judges or for the organizers. It was just a controversial defeat, and it reminds me so much of the same night American was fighting Julio Diaz, the Mexican.
That's right.
And American had to also win by just the same circumstances. He survived a knockdown to win. It wasn't a convincing victory, but once again they are protecting American. The bout was at the Motor Point Arena in Sheffield. So immediately I read about Americans, victory. I also, had news on Emmanuel Attoh, and this was about that everybody wanted to know the outcome. It wasn't good advertisement for himself. I think he's lost some form of credibility now from the boxing fans and also from neutralists. If he had won this game, there would be a lot of goodwill for himself, and people would be interested in watching out, the next big thing. All he has to do is that he must pick the lessons from this bout and then go on stronger in subsequent fights. Just hours before the bout, I spoke to Asamoah Gyan. He is a founder of Baby Jet Promotions, and he was telling me about the vision for Emmanuel Attoh. Attoh is a promising boxer, just that I think he met his match in Pontias. Pontias, solid, rugged, and these are the oppositions you need, in your way to becoming a legend. If you want to be, a title holder in the sport. This is just one of those, fringe titles he's got. If he's looking at entering into a big-time fight, then he must step up the gear.
He must really step up the gear from what I saw, and for Emmanuel Attoh, he may have won, but the performance for me was unconvincing. Well, there were other bouts on the night, and we bring you some of these bouts. The first being George Ashi versus Michael Odiambo. But before we take the bout involving George Ashi and Michael Odiambo from Kenya, let's listen to Pontius and what he said after the bout.
part of the game.
Now tell me, your first time fighting outside Africa, how does it feel like?
Today I'm very happy. There's a lot of fans here watching. Thank you very much.
Chaotic scenes at the ringside at the Accra Sports Stadium. Pontiers was scheduled to come for a post-fight press conference. For reasons that I can't comprehend, the boxer could not make it there. Obviously disappointed with the scoring, and maybe for other reasons that might not be very clear to us. Let's take the highlights of the bout between George Ashi and Michael Odiambo. And if you ask me if there's any boxer in Ghana who currently is probably the biggest crowd puller, it has to be this man. Now, he fought after the main event of the night, and you had to see the number of fans in there who stayed to watch this man in action, and boy, did he deliver. George Ashi, for me, won that the Ghana Boxing Authority and promoters in there should be taking a big look at. He's really one for the future. Let's also pick up the highlights of the bout between Prince Johnny and Albert Komi. Prince Johnny getting a win in the bout after his opponent Albert Komi failed to respond in round number 2 of that bout. Let's also get to see the highlights of the bout between Felix Williams and David Cote.
By unanimous decision, Felix Williams.
Felix Williams getting a win in the super bantamweight contest fought between the two sides. And finally, let's take the highlights of the bout between Usman Wakaba and Moses Doji in a lightweight contest. So Moses Doji failed to respond after round number 4. Usman Akaba thus winning in a technical knockout. And for the fans who made their way to the second BBJ promotion, I'm sure you had fun seeing all these guys putting performance worthy of note. We're looking forward to the third, probably of Golden Boys promotions coming up somewhere later this year. Let's change sport now and do some bit of football. And the senior national team coach of the Black Stars, Kwesi Appiah, has been in London recently undergoing some training at Man City Football Club. Now, he granted an exclusive interview to the BBC concerning the Ghanaian national team and, of course, the players he would love to see playing for the senior national team at some point. There's been calls for the likes of Michael Essien and Kevin Prince Boateng to make their way back into the team. Let's listen to what Coach Kwesi Appiah has been saying about the team and these players.
Jordan Ayew and Andrew Ayew, they are two great players, and when it comes to national call, I believe that every coach would love to have the two of them around. We're still talking. We hope. I believe that every good player, every good Ghanaian player, needs to come on board to help the nation.
So you're talking to them, there's a chance they could come back? That's
what I say, the initial letter they wrote, we wrote back, no, we're not accepting it. We still need them, and they said we should give them time. So we're still talking, and we hope that they will all come back and help.
What about you? Could you give them a call, or does it have to go through the president of the association? Does it have to go through the...
No, as I said, when I say we're still talking, it means it's not one person. We all get involved and make sure that they come on board.
And two more experienced players, Kevin Prince Boateng and Michael Essien. Do they have futures with the Ghana team?
I would love to have every good player around. Kevin and Essien are fantastic players that any coach would love to have them in his team. These are some of the players that we're still talking, to try and get them to join the team.
So back to your first question, Lee. What has the Ghana coach Kwesi Appiah been doing, working with Manchester City? It's part of a cooperation agreement between the FA of Ghana and City. Appiah tells me he's had the chance to work closely with the City management team, including Italian manager Roberto Mancini.
Yeah. I've had opportunity to speak to David Platt and Brian Kidd and Mancini as well.
Any particular bits of advice from Mr. Mancini?
Not advice, but there are some things that he tells me on how he sees things, and then the good things that I think will benefit me, I'll pick it out of it. But on the whole, he's been very, very helpful, allowing me to every session of the department that I need.
In the future, would this link-up mean that young players from Ghana could come over and perhaps have trials with Manchester City, perhaps start playing with the youth set up there?
Man City has got an academy in Ghana. Even as I speak now, they've brought about 18 players from Ghana, to train with their youth. I believe at the end of it all, Ghana is going to benefit.
Obviously no Ghanaians at Manchester City, but two very famous African footballers, the Toure brothers. Did you get a chance to have a chat with them while you were here?
Yeah, I was almost every day with them. They always see me as an African brother, and they come to me, we chat every minute before they leave to their homes, and they are fantastic people.
Well, Coach Kwesi Appiah looking forward to having as many quality players in their camp of the senior national team, the Black Stars. We have two crucial games coming up in June against Lesotho and against Sudan. Now, both games are going to be played outside Ghana, and if we can get maximum points from those games, getting a win against Zambia should see us to the next stage of that competition. We're going to be keeping tabs on the players who are obviously going to be playing a key role in Ghana making it to the next stage of the competition. But before I do that, let me take a few text messages. This one says, Tego is a disgrace to Ghana boxing. You don't tell me your name and where you're texting from. If our baby jet is watching, he should not waste his money on Tego. George Ashi is the next big thing. Nico from Russia, thank you so much. Real Madrid is going to beat Dortmund by 4-0. Real Madrid, no size. This is coming from Chikarito in Bethlehem. Is it Ghana Bethlehem or Israel Bethlehem? Well, it happened, I recall, in 2003. Milan and Deportivo La Coruña. Milan winning 4-1 and Depor winning by 4-0. Well, these things don't happen too often. Congratulations to the playing body of Asante Kotoko for making it to the next stage of the competition. Well, Kotoko defeated Weiss in that game. 17 years old, cannot kick the ball they are playing. So we can only say we'll reduce cheating. So therefore, Coach Opele should stop deceiving Ghanaians and only pray for better luck next time. We are all footballers and we also know each other. From Joseph in Tamale. Well, you know something that I may not know. Tego is not a boxer and he is not good enough at all. This is coming from Tupac in Wama Henso. Jose Mourinho, welcome to Stamford Bridge and Falcao as well. Well, do you have a confirmation that we don't have? Well, one moment he's staying with Real Madrid, another moment he's leaving. I'm sure we'll get to know that at the end of the season. Now, talking about the Black Stars and Coach Kwesi Appiah's interview with the BBC, the Ghana FA has now confirmed that the senior national team, the Black Stars, will be playing a friendly against Kenya as they prepare for those two crucial games against Lesotho and Sudan. Well, those games are going to be very big for the senior national team, and we couldn't have chosen a better place to come than in Kenya. Well, the boys will be pushing very hard to get call-ups for this game as the European leagues come to an end. Now, talk of players who might get a call-up for that game. Coach Kwesi Appiah says he wants the best available materials to be playing for the senior national team. And one player that the manager wants to have in the squad is Michael Essien. Well, he made an injury return for the Madridistas in their game against Atletico Madrid over the weekend. Essien playing a part in the Madridistas' win against their cross-town rivals Atletico Madrid. Angel Di Maria, the star on the night. One other player who could also play a role for the senior national team at some point, if he gets yet another call-up, is former skipper John Mensah. Well, he currently plays in France for Stade Rennais, and he was in action for his club over the weekend as Rennais won 2-0 at Brest on Saturday. Well, that team also features John Boy, and he has been a consistent performer since his exploits at Cannes 2012 and even before that. From France, we move over to Italy now and keep up to speed with some Ghanaian players in there and start from Kevin Prince Boateng. Now, Kevin Prince Boateng has declared that there was no point in time where he was unhappy being a part of the senior national team. There have been talk of the player being unhappy at the way things were done in the camp. Thus, his decision to retire prematurely from the camp of the Black Stars. Well, he says there is no truth in that particular story, and he just couldn't cope with traveling for hours on end for some of our games, and his decision to retire so that he could focus on his career at some point. And then when he feels like making his way back into the senior national team, he will decide when the time is right. Staying in Italy, and one young boy, Joseph Duncan, is making the waves with a club called Livorno. Well, he's just been voted the MVP of his club. He's also been called up for the national under-20 team, the Black Satellites, as they prepare to go take on their counterparts at the under-20 World Cup in Turkey. Well, these are a bunch of boys are currently playing in Italy, clearly one for the future, and it's going to be interesting to see how Joseph Duncan and his colleagues, who we understand are going to be commencing training from today. Well, the local complement is going to be commencing training from today. The foreign complement of this team will be joining them when the major league seasons in Europe come to an end. And still staying in Italy, two young guys actually who play for Sassuolo in the Italian Serie B, that's Kofi and Richmond Boache Yadom. Well, the club is looking at holding on to these players for yet another season. Richmond Boache Yadom has been signed by Juventus, but obviously for not getting enough playing time at the club, he was loaned to Sassuolo, where he was performing wonders before he signed for the Bianconeri at the beginning of the season. We'll see how the young men perform there as they look to make it big with their clubs. It was Richmond Boache Yadom and Yusuf Rahman Chipsa. Michael Kofi these days are playing, Isaac Kofi, these days are playing with Chievo Verona in Italy as well. And he is to the far left of the picture, Richmond Boache Yadom to the far right of the picture. We move on and keep up to speed with other Ghanaian players. And there's a young man by name Banahene. 2 years ago, he used to feature for Brecum Chelsea here in the Globe Premier League. These days, he finds himself in Turkey. And we understand that he's a third joint top scorer in the Turkish second-tier league for his side. These Turkish clubs have some very interesting names. Kasayispor is what I am told. 2 years ago, he was playing very, very well for Brecum Chelsea before he was sold by the club. Not much has been heard of him since then, but, he's having a good time in the Turkish second-tier league at this particular point. And hopefully this form would see him make it very, very far. Let's still stay with football, and this time around come home. And you remember Accra Heart of Oak goalie Sami Ejay? Well, what's he up to this time? The word we are getting is that the player is not happy at the way he's being treated by his team. That's Accra Heart of Oak, and what he wants to do is look at the option of joining their bitterest rivals, Kumasi Asante Kotoko. Now, is that going to happen? Kotoko, I do know at this particular time, have in their fold Abdullahi Solama together with Isaac Amwaku. And there's a lot of competition in there, and I don't think that Sami Ejay would want to go to a club where he's not going to be first choice. But while it's up to him, if he goes there and he's able to convince the players, then that would be great for him. Let me take some text message or two and then take a very short break, and then we'll bring you highlights from the major European leagues. This one says, I'm a Ghanaian, but I must be honest that Tegu alias Gameboy lost the fight to Pontius. This is coming from Adams Alasan Watara. Tegu is weak. Baby Jet must sack him. Well, our time is up, and we do have to check out of thanks to the entire production team for making this possible. The show was proudly put together by the Joy Sport. Thanks for sticking and staying with us. Wednesday is the next stop for the show.